And Izzy, are we capturing the chat too?
We can. Yeah, so at the end, you could just save the chat as a text file.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Got to remember to do that. What time does it end? I'll set a timer.
As soon as we're done. It'll probably be 6:30, maybe 7, somewhere in there.
Scheduled at 6:50 on the agenda, and
yeah,
it could go to 7.
Depends how long people talk, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
there is another Zoom meeting at 7 on this channel, on this account.
Oh, there is?
It's mine, and I don't know if anybody's going to show up for it, but it is scheduled.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll announce that at the beginning that we're going to end by 7.
Sorry.
That's okay. So we have the co-host. We started the recording. The waiting room is enabled. So when we let everybody in, I won't mute their microphones unless if we have like, more than 50 people, I probably will. Actually,
I really think you're going to need to mute it because you're asking people to be on speaker view, which is going to toggle to whoever is tapping their pen on the table.
That's true. Okay. Well, so I'm going to go ahead and turn on mute participants on entry. So I could allow them to unmute themselves or not, but I think it would be better if we don't. Okay. And so we will allow participants to rename themselves.
So when we get to let me just ask about that for a second, because I understand why you're doing it. In our Eastview meetings, we've gone back and forth on 10 different ways to handle this issue of muting. We usually only have 30 people, but we have found that we need everybody to be muted. We finally gave up on hosts muting it because just trying to find the next person who's going to speak. Like, in other words, when we're inviting people to talk, if I say Janine Gelsinger, who is is Izzy or Jim or Libby going to go in search of Janine Gelsinger, or will you be able to, because she's speaking in advance, unmute her like in anticipation of me calling on her, and then she can just start right away and there's no pause?
Well, that's what I think we can do is if Jim, you and Izzy can concentrate on the unmuting of people, I have a list of the people that we are going to want to introduce. So I could send that to you. There's the people who are going to speak, but then there's also like Andy's family and stuff that we want to introduce right up front. The kind of the non-VUU crowd.
So how do you step us through how you want that to go?
Okay, so let me show you. So I have a list of guests who are planning on, well, let me just share my screen, hold on.
I'm supposed to say, we'll be introducing family and community members. Please be prepared to say hello as we do.
Yeah. So I have this list, and what I was planning to do is during the 5:15 to 5:30 or whenever we let people in, just kind of check off who's here. It's a long list, but I don't expect, that they'll all be here.
Leave that up for just a sec. I'm just taking a picture of it. Andy's parents, all right. Heather's dad, Wow, we got a good turnout from his family.
Well, this is just who we've invited. We don't know if any of them will show up, but they're all invited.
Okay.
How are you going to know whether to introduce them or not? You're going to have to screen as they come in to say, oh, this person's here and this one's not, so you don't introduce them?
Yeah, yes. So I was just going to put a little X mark myself by the people who are here. Do you want me to send this? Izzy and Jim, do you want me to send you this list?
I just screenshotted it, so I have it up.
Oh, okay. Now, the only problem is if you're both trying to unmute, you might end up muting somebody.
That's right. So honestly, it's only good if one person has the unmute role, and then maybe the other could have the role of monitoring chat or something like that. I think that's a helpful role for us to divide up.
What if, Izzy, what if you unmute people and then Jim, when they're done speaking, you mute them because Izzy will be working on finding the next person to unmute?
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah. I'll unmute. Jim, you mute.
Jim, you're the muting king.
I am the muting. Okay, so, and my role in this meeting is something that allows me to do that.
You're
Yes,
a co-host.
so I've already marked
made
you
you a
as a
co-host.
co-host.
I see, okay.
And so you can unmute and mute yourself and anybody else.
I see it, okay, great.
Are we assuming that these people will all say something? Because otherwise we won't, if there's a sea of 50 pictures in the gallery, we won't see them in speaker view unless they speak.
Well, so
There's the list of participants.
so if I say, so I'm going to say, as we do on Sundays, we have everyone on mute. When I introduce you, our fabulous tech team will unmute you so you can say a quick hello to Andy. So that means like quick.
Yeah.
And I'll say, I'll introduce some of his family and friends from outside our congregation. After that, we'll have a few things to say about the legacy that Andy leaves us. And then we will share some stories. And finally, we will let Andy say a few words. So at that point, so I will have marked that Rusty and Carmen are here, or they're not, right? Because we're going to ask them when they log in to chat us their information if they're here. And then, so I'll say Rustin and Carmen, Andy's parents, are here from Indiana. Can you guys say hi? And then by that time, Izzy will have unmuted them, right? And then ideally, and they can say hi, and then he'll be looking for Justin and Sandy or whoever are the next folks. So I don't expect all these people will show up, but you know, if half of them do, it'll be, you know, it'll be a crowd.
You know, it would be useful as a way to search through attendees. Like all I could see is a scroll bar, but
Izzy, the other thing is if you see any of these names, when they log in at 5:15, any of these names, you can click them as a co-host.
Yeah.
So that they come to the top of the screen.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. And that also allows them to unmute. They don't need to know that, but at least, you know, that still gives us a shorter list of people who can unmute.
Cool.
Okay, I have a question. I've got the video ready to give it a shot.
Okay.
But I have a question. Does it need to be on my main screen in order for me to screen share it?
Nope.
Okay.
When you hit sharing, it will ask you which screen you want to share.
Oh, okay, good. Because
you want to
I usually put it on the screen that's on my computer and you guys on the other one. But then it looks like I'm constantly looking to the side, not looking at the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, I can try it now.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
And mute yourself before you do that so we can hear the computer audio.
You mean unmute?
No, she needs to mute herself. Okay, we can see it, but we're not hearing anything. You want to stop sharing and try it again?
Libby, do you know about the share audio, share computer audio option? Okay.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why.
Libby, so I think you're going to want to turn the volume down a little bit on your control. You guys agree?
Yeah. Also, you can get rid of the interface, the playback interface, by command clicking on the screen. Libby, if you just command click, it looks like you're on a Mac. So just command click and it'll get rid of the play button and all that.
So why don't you try it again with a lower volume and command click to get rid of the play button.
Sorry, I was muted. Command click on the screen that it's on, Izzy?
Yes, if you command click on the screen, hit play first, turn down the volume, hit play, and then command click right on the screen, and it'll get rid of the interface.
Okay, all right. Let me try this again. I'm gonna share. That's clicked, okay. Should I start? I'll start it.
It's not a question, but a lesson learned in time. It's something uncomfortable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Get better volume, Mike.
So take the photographs and still frames in your mind.
Can you pause
Hang it on a shelf in good health and good times. Tattoos of memories and dead skin on time. For what it's worth, it.
Okay.
Okay. That's
Probably
good.
want to share the screen first and then do the playback.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And make sure that you're muted before you start.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, let me bring it back to the beginning so I don't forget to do that.
Yeah.
And we need to have everybody muted when the music is on, don't we? Or will we have cutting into it?
Yeah, and everybody who is a co-host can always hit the mute all button. So, if you hit mute all, it'll mute everybody and the co-host can still unmute themselves.
Okay.
So, yeah, so maybe Libby, when you're ready to play it, maybe you hit mute all and then hit play.
Okay.
I mean, share, then play.
There, then, yeah.
Yeah.
Where do I find the mute all?
It's at the bottom of the participants. So if you click on participants.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You see it? Okay.
Yep. I initially, when I went to look for it, as I was asking for that, I clicked the little arrow next to the mute on my menu bar. And that's where it is. Okay.
Okay. Well, it looks like we starting to get some people show up. Okay, so we're going to make a few announcements. And Janice, I changed that to you. Is that okay?
To kind of do the setup before Andy joins?
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. And so.
And during that part of it, Deanne,
Yep.
and tech folks, and Marcy, I think we can be a little bit transparent with the group. I mean, I think it's like, Deanne, I'm perfectly comfortable during that part. If I need to ask you a question on process,
sure,
I would do that. It's
yeah, very casual. Yep.
Yeah.
And then at 5:29, we're going to tell everyone we're going to unmute them and let them know we're going to let Andy in. So Janice, you can do that. And Izzy, can you do the admit all and disable waiting room?
Yes. At what time?
At 5:29, assuming Andy's in the waiting room. So we're going to let people in one at a time so that we don't let Andy in.
So who is in charge of the waiting room?
Izzy, can you be in charge of the waiting room?
Sure thing.
Okay.
And I'm doing it one at a time, and then don't let Andy in until 5:30.
Don't let Andy in.
And what's the other thing I was going to do? Disable the waiting room, and then what else at 5:29?
Unmute all.
Unmute all.
Unmute all. Got it.
Yep. So we can all yell surprise.
How do you unmute all? Is there a way to do that? Because I don't see a button for that. I see mute all, but I don't see unmute all.
I think.
That's a good question.
When you mute all, it turns into the unmute all.
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah.
Mute us
all right.
I don't know.
All right. I muted all, and I do not have an unmute all button. But everybody's muted. I'm the only.
I just unmuted myself.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's another way we can go down the list.
I don't think there's an unmute all. I think I can.
No, you're right. There's not. So
there is.
I can go into security and make it to where, people have the ability to unmute themselves.
Well, they already. Well, we can make that, but.
You guys, I'm at the bottom of the participant screen, and right next to mute all, there's an unmute all.
Bottom of participants, right next to it. Maybe
I don't see an unmute all.
Me either.
I don't either.
Well, you want me to do it then? Because I can see it.
Wow. Well,
mine says ask all to unmute. It's not an actual unmute. It just says ask them to unmute.
No, I have an unmute all button.
Why does Libby have this button that none of the rest of us have?
I have no idea.
Because I have a Mac.
I'm on a Mac.
I know, so is Jim. I'm being silly.
I don't know, Libby, but let's try it. And if we have to, because Andy won't be there yet, if we have to, we can all go through the guest list and unmute people.
Under more, I have ask all to unmute.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll try that.
I have, on the bottom of the screen, I have invite, and then I have mute all, unmute all, and then more.
No.
I think
awesome.
You're pranking us. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I'm not.
We don't have that.
If I knew how to take a screenshot and then share it with you, I would.
Jim?
Yeah, I was just saying it's possible she has a different version somehow. They normally push out these changes.
Yeah.
But what I was saying was, Izzy, when you had done the mute all, as I was scanning up and down the list of participants, some had unmute and some had asked to unmute.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm not sure why that is.
I think it's because co-hosts, you have to ask them.
Well, we shouldn't have to, I mean, I'm certainly happy to do the mute all, unmute all, because I have the unmute all button.
Let's try it.
Okay.
All right.
So mute, everybody's muted now.
I'm not.
I am.
I'm not.
But we're
Wait, I
co-hosts.
have to, I have to click continue. Now you should all be muted. Yeah. Now you should all be unmuted.
Yeah, a window popped up, asked me if I'd like to
Yeah.
unmute.
It was a window.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
But that works
Okay.
too. That worked too.
Yep.
Okay, well, I can do the mute all, unmute all during that, when we're getting ready to let Andy in.
Okay, and we'll let them know they might have to click their unmute button.
Okay, and also I have the question where, like, somebody was, I think it was Janice was talking earlier about how even if you're in gallery view, you can only see about 50 of the people. So how is everybody gonna know that Andy is in here and it's time to say surprise?
Oh, we're gonna tell them before we let him in, we're gonna say, okay, everybody make sure you're unmuted, and now we're gonna let Andy in.
Okay,
So we just need to be careful not to let Andy in until we tell everyone we're going to.
right, okay.
Can the
Janice,
person
you're
on the button to let
muted.
him in just do a countdown, like 3, 2, 1?
Yeah.
Janice, we can see you talking, but we can't hear you. You need to unmute.
Because he's muted. You need
So
to
what,
unmute
what,
yourself.
why don't we make Andy a co-host right away so he can pop to the
Yes.
top?
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
good idea.
Yeah.
Who's gonna do it?
I'm gonna let him in. I'll make him a co-host after I let him in. That's fine.
Awesome, thank you.
Cool.
The thing did you hear me say that Izzy, when you let him in, maybe do a countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 or anything, or?
Okay.
Good idea.
Yeah, and it does take a
everybody
few
will-
seconds for someone to come in. So maybe when you get to 3, you hit admit.
That's a good idea.
Okay, we have 50 people in the waiting room already.
I see that.
So are we ready to let people in?
I say we are. We might have some bumps on the agenda, but it's okay. We'll work through it.
Okay, so I just muted, I just said mute on entry. So when they come in, we can start talking about, you know, how this is gonna go.
Okay.
You go ahead and start letting people in.
Yeah, you can probably at this point admit all because I don't think Andy's here. Or we can do it one at a time to be super sure.
Yeah, I would do it one at a time.
58
Okay.
clicks. Here we go.
Where do you see the waiting room? I don't know where to look for
On the
that.
participants list.
It's at the top of the participants.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah, got it.
This is so nerve-wracking. God. I sent Andy this afternoon a long list of all the things I wanted to talk to him about at our meeting.
I got a text from Heather saying she was really nervous.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh, because it's a surprise and she's nervous about giving it away.
She said he doesn't suspect anything. I said, just make sure there's no broccoli in his teeth.
Hi, everybody. You're muted, but we're going to unmute in just a bit. Greetings.
We have so many people showing up.
That's awesome.
It's great. We're going to have a wonderful crowd, I think.
Yeah. Well, we have over.
Now, if he comes in and he won't see that there's a bunch of other people in the waiting room, will he?
You know, I've never been in the waiting room. Have you guys?
I have, and I don't think you can see anything.
No,
Yeah.
Melanie and Dan are shaking their heads no.
Okay, good.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Melanie and Dan.
Hi, Willa. Haven't seen you in a long time. I hope you're well.
Well, hi, everybody. We're just waiting for everybody to be admitted before we begin. And then we have just a few words of instructions and sort of agenda before we get started with admitting Andy at 5:30. We think that he is still clueless about this. Heather has said he doesn't have an idea.
Sasha.
We are carefully letting people in one at a time so that we don't let Andy in by mistake.
Sasha's in now.
Oh, good.
I don't see Andy.
Uh-oh, do we have any leaks? Hopefully Sasha is not anywhere near Andy.
Oh no, she would know.
When he goes into a meeting, he goes into his office.
Yeah.
True.
And
His
he
closet.
thinks he's going to a meeting.
Oh my gosh, we could have more people here than on a Sunday.
Yeah.
We will because we have outside folks coming and joining us too.
Right?
Yeah.
We could maybe start letting everybody else know what's going on. Although I think
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd have to repeat some of it for the folks that are still
Right.
being admitted, right?
You've only got 14 people in the waiting room. If you want to pause just
Okay.
a minute.
I think we're going to continue to have joiners though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I haven't seen Andy come in yet.
No.
What
Well,
time are we
he's
expecting him? 45?
We're expecting Andy
5:30.
in 9 minutes. Super exciting. When Andy comes on, we're going to unmute everybody so everyone can yell surprise. It will come out goofy because, some of us he'll hear some of us and not others. So you might have to say 5 surprises to get your surprise out there. So I will just begin. We have 95 participants with us right now. My name is Janice Miller, and I just want to assist Deanne in welcoming all of you to this farewell party, farewell Zoom for Andy. Thank you for being here tonight. Tonight, so before Andy joins us, which is in 8 minutes, and he will be surprised, we want to just give a few little bits of instruction. One is that we are recording this session for Andy and his family, and we will also be capturing in text format whatever you put in chat. So feel free if you want to chat comments to Andy during any part of the meeting today, because we'll be able to give those to him in written format. And if you want to tell any little story or any other thing, just go ahead and type in a short bit on chat, and everybody will be able to see it or share it, or you can send it personally. And also, we are going to be introducing Andy's family and some community members, because we've invited some folks back in Indiana to join us. And so we have the honor of being able to share all our love of Andy with his family and friends and some community members. So welcome to all of you. We want to greet you in a moment after we get Andy on board. We have been collecting money for a gift for Andy and his family, and thus far, you all have contributed $2,250 to this special collection. Yay! And you can continue to give through the 13th. And then at the end of our session today, I'll tell you what our agenda is, just to run through, welcome everybody, allow his family members and some community folks to say hello to us. Then we want to tell our stories about Andy. Deanne and the tech team have put together an amazing video that has your good comments about Andy all embedded in the video. So we're going to show him that. And then we'll let about a dozen people have little stories to share. And then we'll give Andy a moment to speak. His speaking part is at the end. And then we're just going to kind of open the mic for us to have a bit of a free-for-all social session at the end. Deanne, chime in if I've missed anything on how we want the agenda to go.
Yeah, so the only thing I really want to add is that if you are a member of Andy's family, or you are a friend, it looks like we can let Heather in, Izzy, or you are a friend of Andy's not from the congregation, it would be great if you could just chat to us who you are, because we're going to introduce you. And some of you will notice that I've already changed you to a co-host, and that's so we can get your name at the top of the screen, so that when we unmute you to say hello, you're able. So there is one guest that shows without a name as a 812-639 phone number. So if you could tell us who you are, that would be wonderful. Or if you don't want to, that's okay too. But I'm guessing that's one of Andy's family members.
And it may be possible to add in chat. Okay, we're having an unauthorized screen share, but it's cool.
Thank you, Pam.
So Andy's coming on quickly, but Deanne, can you repeat for everybody just really quickly how they can make contributions to the fund, because there are some questions.
Yeah, that'd be great. So you can go to vuu.org and click on donate. And when you do that, there's a way to donate through your bank account or your credit card. And if you would just, instead of operating shows up typically, if you would just change the drop down to say special collections. This is the only special collection we have going on right now. So if you say special collection, then we will know it is for Andy, and he will, and we can continue to collect donations through the end of the week.
Andy just showed up in the waiting room.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you want to let the other guy in? And we're going to keep Andy out there for a couple of minutes. He's probably going to text me and say, I'm here, let me in. So before we let Andy in, we need to unmute everybody. And when we do that, you are going to need to click the unmute button for yourself. So we can give you the ability to unmute, and then you have to unmute. And we'll do that right now. Libby, you want to go ahead and unmute everybody? And then
Izzy, do you want to give us the countdown before we allow Andy in, or
we're going to say surprise to the
do we need a minute first to get everybody unmuted?
A lot of voices here. I'll count down in a moment.
Let's say surprise.
And everybody will yell, surprise!
Everybody try to stay quiet for a moment.
The countdown.
Surprise. Gonna say surprise. And you have to wave.
Deanne, you ready for the countdown?
Hi, Josie.
You have to say hi.
Yeah, go ahead and let Josie. Okay, she's here.
No, we have to unmute ourselves.
Oh,
Stop it.
Josie, there's
The only way they can hear it.
Dale,
right.
you're muted.
Here we go. I'm going to count it
Okay,
down.
Josie,
let's
Josie, we're
go.
gonna count it down. Okay.
On 5,
Let's go.
4, 3,
That's what I yelled.
2,
Oh, Caitlin.
1, and he's joining now.
Surprise! Surprise!
Hi, Andy.
Oh, let's see.
Andy.
Oh, there he is.
That's, oh my gosh, you guys.
Oh,
Oh, that's.
Hi, Andy.
Guys.
there he is. There he is.
Looking at you.
He's surprised.
Surprise.
Wanna go?
This is way too nice.
You make it the thing.
I thought I was gonna be on a meeting where I was in.
Okay, here we go.
No idea what you want.
Okay, I just muted everybody. So, Izzy, if you could unmute Andy, that would be great. Andy, there was no way we could let you leave this congregation just waving goodbye from our cars in the parking lot. As wonderful as that was, we couldn't let it go with that, even, you know, COVID and everything. So we planned a little party for you, and we invited a bunch of your friends. And I hope you don't mind being surprised.
No, that's great.
Heather and about 50 other people helped us pull this off. And I know that you were dying to talk about post-ministerial covenants and
Right.
membership and stuff, but we're going to do that at a later date. We'll schedule it sometime before Thursday, okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So everyone who's on the call, if you know Zoom, you know that the best way to view things is from the speaker view. So if you're not in speaker view, you want to click on one of those buttons on the top right of your screen. And if you see me or Andy right now in a big screen and you see everybody else in a little screen, you're doing the right thing. Okay. So as we do on Sundays, we have everyone on mute, and I'm going to introduce a few people, and our fabulous tech team is going to unmute you so you can say just a quick hello to Andy. Not all 100 people who are on the phone, but some of the guests that we have from outside the congregation, we want you to be able to at least say hi and wave. And after we're done with that, we will have a few things to say about the legacy that Andy has left us with. We're going to share some stories, and Andy, you'll be glad to know that your part in the service comes at the end. So you have a little time to think about what you might want to say, but you are a co-host, so you can mute and unmute yourself at will and say hello to some people. So I don't know that I have everybody on the list, but one of the people that I would like to introduce to say hello is Earl Holt. He was a interim minister for VUU, I believe, right before you got here.
That's
Earl,
right.
are you there?
That's right. I'm here.
Good to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm also going to introduce then Janine, I'm going to introduce Sasha Burnette, who is Andy's daughter, and who also knew about this party ahead of time. Sasha, are you there? You can wave hello to everybody and say hi.
Hi.
Hi, Sasha.
Hi, Sasha. Good to have you here. Are you just in another room in the house?
Yeah, I'm in my bedroom. I'm literally like, I could walk to go see him right now. Yeah.
Okay. And then I think we have, I'm sorry, this is really difficult for us. I thought we had it planned well, but we didn't get enough time to figure out who all was here. But I believe that we have Janine Gelsinger here from.
Hi, Andy. Yes, I'm here. Thanks.
Say hi, Andy. And Janine is going to share a few words with us in just a little while. But just wanted her to say hi. In fact, she's going to be one of our first speakers because she has to leave pretty quick to get on the jazz call at 6 o'clock. And we have Jeremy and Rachel, who are friends of Andy's from Indiana. Jeremy,
hey,
are
Andy.
you?
Yeah, I'm here. Love from the Ables.
Good to have you here. Okay, let's see who else we have here. Ryan and Amy, friends from Phoenix. Ryan, are you here?
Congrats, man.
Awesome. Let's see who else. I think we have Josie on here. Josie, are you here? Oh, might be with
Heather is saying.
With Heather?
No, Heather is saying that the 639 phone number is her sister, Ashley.
Oh, okay. Great. Ashley, Heather's sister, I just clicked on you. Can you unmute for a second? We don't have your picture, but at least you can say hi. Okay, or maybe not. And let's see.
Josie is with her. Heather says Josie is with her.
Okay, okay, so Heather is here. And Heather, can you say hi?
Hi, we're here. I'm super tech, not good.
Good to have you. All right, I'm not, so have I missed anybody? Oh, Keith. Keith, can you say hi? Keith and Lisa are friends from Phoenix.
Hello.
Hey, Andy. Hey. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
Hi.
Okay, I don't know if I've missed anybody, but thank you all so much for being here. We wanted to make sure that Andy's family and friends knew just how much he means to us and how much we're going to miss him. So unless there's anybody else who wants to say hello, I'm going to go ahead and turn this back over to Janice.
Hi, everybody. I see some comments in the remarks about muting issues. So I'm just going to ask Izzy to help us figure out how we can technically make sure that people are able to unmute themselves. We have the global muting function, and then we have the unmuting, which can be done either individually or by the co-host. So it can be a little bit confusing sometimes, because sometimes when we unmute you, if you have muted yourself, then you may inadvertently be trying to speak and you just need to unmute. So with that said, if Izzy has any other recommendations about what we need to do, Izzy, just either put in chat or signal us or jump in the middle here and let us know how we'd like to do it. Today, we want to invite the congregation to add on to the story of Andy at Valley Unitarian Universalist Congregation. And we have a special video that we thought we'd start with. When you see this video, you're going to see some comments that came from members of our congregation who talked about Andy, and we really wanted everyone to see what they said. Are we ready to share the video?
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you
Your
by
screen.
the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this.
Libby, can you
Libby,
stop it?
we're not
Stop
seeing
it
it.
and share your screen again.
Did it not work?
Yeah, I didn't share.
We didn't see the video.
Oh, okay.
Can you hit share my screen and go from there? There we go.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question, but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind. Hang it on a shelf in good health and good times. Tattoos of memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. Something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Thank you, and thank you, Deanne, and the tech team for that beautiful video. We want to call on some members of the congregation to share some of Andy's legacy with us. And first up, we have Janine Gelsinger from UU Jazz. Janine?
Hi all, thanks for having me. Wow, I don't know what I could possibly say that isn't said by your congregation in that beautiful video. I think that really speaks to what an amazing congregational leader you are and how much your community has grown in your leadership. It's kind of fitting all the pieces that came together today because as Deanne said, I do have to run early today because we're leading a UU the Vote call about holding space for all the feelings that come with elections. And I think that's really fitting today because you have been such a leader and an integral part of Invest in Ed and so many other initiatives where you really taught folks how to show up and live your faith in public. And I appreciate how many times I've run into you at protests and events and down at the state capitol. I appreciate your leadership in how to live your faith in public and show up with your values in those spaces. Another coincidence that happened on this day today is that the UUA published a blog interview all about Valley UU and how you've reacted to COVID. And all of you, with Andy's leadership, decided to step in when iHelp was out of churches to run your program and to essentially turn your sanctuary into a shelter for those who need it. And it's such a beautiful example of how to live your UU values. I'm so excited that UUs across the country got to read that today because it's really testament to your legacy and to how you've been so thoughtful about social justice and how to work with partners and how to really show up in that way. And on a personal note, I just want to really thank you for your mentorship. I've only been in this role for a year, and there's been times that I've called you to help me talk through an issue that I was contemplating how to act on. And you've really been an amazing supporter of UU Jazz in your congregation and out in public, but also to me. So we're really gonna miss you, and we're wishing you all the best in your journey. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Janine. Carl Anderson, where are you, Carl?
Is Carl under a different name? I don't see him in the list.
Is Carl not here yet? Carl must have gotten tied up, so hopefully he'll join a little bit later. Marcy.
I can unmute myself. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Marcy Bowden. I'm the Director of Faith Formation here at Valley UU. I've worked with Andy his whole 8 years that he's been here. The first time that I met Andy was in 2012 at Ann's house during our search for a minister. It was my 3rd year working at Valley UU, and I had already had 3 different ministers. The district executive at the time suggested to the search committee that the staff be invited to meet with the final 3 candidates. And we all thought this is really logical, as we would be working with the minister 5 days a week. I have since learned that none of my colleagues have ever been invited to meet with candidates. I feel very fortunate that we were included in this process. And Andy, I can tell you now, in all honesty, that you were my first choice. But really you were. You can, maybe Ken St. John remembers some of my comments to him afterwards. I had some rather strong opinions. I know that may surprise some people, but you were definitely my first choice, and I'm so grateful that you were here with us for so long. But before I say thank you, before I say goodbye, sorry, I want to say thank you. Thank you for all that you have taught me about systems management, how to avoid triangulation, about our lizard brains, and so many details about the world's religions. Your guidance and inspiration has added priceless value to my career. Thank you for the support you showed the children and the youth and the whole faith formation ministry. The puppet Time for All Ages were always a hit. And the youth and the coming of age program, they all went into their meetings with you with trepidation, but they walked out bolstered by your support for their very varied credos. Thank you for supporting and participating in the Mexico service trip. And your desire to lead adult faith forum programs was always much appreciated by the congregants, although I do pity the minister who tries to follow a program like your pub talks. Thank you for officiating my daughter's wedding. Thank you for the direction and the vision you have given all of us. the biggest laurels on the mantelpiece of your life will be the respect, love, and affection that your staff and congregants here at VUU have for you. Thank you.
Hey, Janice, can I say something really quick?
Yes.
It looks like this account has a 100-person limit. And so that's why we're stuck at 100 people. There are a bunch of other people waiting to get in. And so some people are not here. I'm very, very sorry. I didn't realize this account had a limit. Our other account does not have that limit. So we'll have to apologize to a whole lot of people who wanted to be here and send them the recording. I just feel awful. So a few people have volunteered to drop if they're together with someone else to let someone in, which is appreciated. And otherwise, I just want to say I'm very sorry.
Okay. I don't suppose that there's a way for us to jump on to another account, is there? At this point, is that too hard to do?
It would be too hard to get the word out to the people who are not here, I'm afraid.
Okay.
It looks like there's room for 12 more now, so it could be.
Yeah, some people just dropped off, so maybe we'll have some others jump on. Thank you, everyone who's consolidating.
Okay, with that said, we need to unmute Mustafa Bahar so that we can hear from him. He's a friend of Andy's. And I wonder, Izzy, if you can unmute.
Yes. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Hi, Andy. I mean, this is a great gathering for sure. We've been quite a while like friends with Andy since the Temp Interfaith Fellowship. And since then, I mean, when I started writing down this thing, I realized that there are actually so many occasions that he inspired me. So instead of just talking it out, I just wanted to write it down. So I was planning to send it directly to Andy, but once I realized that this was happening, so I just wanted to share it here with him and with you all as well. So Andy, I know that you're living soon and enjoying a much cooler environment, both literally and figuratively soon. I wish nothing but the best in your new endeavors. The reason I'm bugging you is to let you know how much you have contributed to my journey here during the time we have known each other. What I am envisioning with this note is to let you know that your impact to this community is beyond your congregation and how valuable your existence is, despite we're not very close friends by the generic definition. I will try my best to contextualize within 3 paragraphs, God willing. When we had our one-on-one back in March 2018 with a coffee from Starbucks, you taught me that regardless of what you believe, how much you know about faith and religion, there is still so much to grow and be inspired from others by listening to me very attentively. It is a common misconception for many interfaith conversations that you should claim your presence by expressing your intellectual capacity. However, you show no superiority or poked me with your extensive knowledge or navigated the conversation to certain agenda items at all. Instead, it was very organic, open, but more importantly, genuine conversation. One thing I will be regretting is I wish we would have done more of those during these years. Believe it or not, that conversation has set a certain standard that I have been comparing so many of my one-on-ones with that one and hoping both parties had enjoyed as much as I had at our version. When you opened your congregation to our kermesse, you taught me that our dialogue is not about a prioritization of understanding each other. Maybe I misinterpreted, but I always felt like you highly prioritize listening over speaking, empathy over preaching, and personal relationships over institutional ones. And you listen to us first, then listen to your heart and allow that to happen. And with that little bazaar we set up at your place, we were able to save many families from the tragedies still occurring back at home. There are many inspirational stories from their journey, but just to highlight some, one of those kids is back on track with her medical degree. One of them is willing to be an astronaut. And I know many of them started new businesses and journeys with their hard work and even providing new jobs to new people. We never keep those stats, but I think that's just fascinating how butterfly effect works in real life. During the meetings in Tempe Interfaith Fellowships, during your speeches in various events, you were always in your ultimate element. I always appreciated your commitment to anything you do in your life. Whether it was a minor event or a formal one, you gradually put your best foot forward all the time. I think that is always a feature which is taken granted by many people, but always cherish and admire people like you who are doing it so genuinely. I hope that I can leave a similar impression in my community like that when I leave this chapter in my life as well. So all these inspirations are currently helping me immensely on as of now. I just want to share that I feel blessed to be able to collaborate on many projects, to give a voice to those who need together and to stand against injustice, whether it was just a bill or a regulation in our community. I think you are a very sophisticated man, an inspirational father, a wise friend who just doesn't need preaching to share his wisdom. I do not know if we can ever see one another in person ever again in this life, but I would like to keep our communication channels open in case of witnessing more of your wonders. Till next time, stay true to yourself, keep inspiring people, and keep making the world a better place by staying as healthy as possible. Inspired by you, Mustafa. Thank you so much, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was so beautifully said. Very lovely.
Kenneth Carl is here now if you want to.
Yes, I just texted him that I'm calling on him now.
Who?
Carl?
I'm unmuted. Thank you. And thanks to the people who dropped off. I was frantically trying to get in, and so happy that I got to be here for this. As I've been thinking about this all week, I've been coming up with a longer and longer laundry list of things that Andy has done for us and for me personally too. And I just want to highlight maybe a few of those. You know, I think we started out with really getting to know ourselves, and he helped us do that and helped us transform the congregation into just being able to work better together. And I know he's a process person and jokes about that, but it really is a necessary part that I think enabled us to have a springboard to be able to develop further and be the kind of congregation that we really wanted to be. And that led to other things. You know, his connections to the community are one of the most important things that I think he leaves us with, and he's enabled us to go and really live our mission, and has been an example of how to get out and do that. We've been talking, you know, since I've been around for a while. I mean, this is always something that we had wanted to do, but really needed somebody to help us get to that point. And I love the fact that with everything that's been going on, we have people using our sanctuary, and I'm glad to give it up for them because it's just a wonderful thing. So thank you, Andy, for moving us along that path to advocating for social justice and really, I think, opening and getting barriers moved out of the way for people in the congregation to express their how they want to achieve that, and just showing us how to do that. And the other part that I wanted to just highlight was the pastoral care piece, and that committee and the purpose behind it that I've been able to be a part of is just sort of under the radar a little bit, but it's there. And you know, we had a somewhat informal organization, and you have really helped to organize that, to help us develop, to train us, to you know, help us explore our role in helping members of the congregation on a different level. And I've appreciated that opportunity and your sharing of that responsibility. So, you know, that's really important too. And as I've been thinking about your legacy, and one of the things is I believe at the back of the sanctuary we still have all those photos of all the ministers and interim ministers and everybody who has been a leader in a sense of worship and for us. And I will I will look for your picture up there always. And and you know, it's meant so much to all of us, and it's your attitude and the joy that you brought here. The music is just wonderful. That's another thing that you've given us, a minister who actually sings and sings well and on key. So that's been wonderful. And just in so many ways have helped us to really grow and support each other, and our youth too. And you know, you've brought in people who don't have wrinkles, which is amazing. And so we really appreciate that too, because we need those people to help us move forward. So so thank you, and I love you, and please, best of luck, and I hope that, you know, on your journey that you continue to just do great things. So thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Carl. Okay, Jim Nielsen, Jim and Nancy.
Ooh. I'm gonna move this. That's okay. That's all right. Well, hi, my name is Jim. My wife Nancy and I have been members of VUU for almost 30 years. During that time, VUU has seen its shares of good times and bad times, but we've always pulled together and got through them. You joined us as we were finally emerging from the latest worldwide financial crisis. We'd spent many years just surviving, but now we were anxious to take on the future. You were the perfect fit for what was needed. You were young, you had a family, you played bluegrass, and you even rode a motorcycle. No comment on that other thing you now drive. With your leadership, we began working with congregations from many faiths in the Valley. We were in the front lines of many social justice causes, and we became a major factor in the community at large. And oh yeah, you did all of this while you were completing your PhD. I never made a secret of the fact that I've never listened to sermons very much, even in my youth, especially in my youth. To me, it was an opportunity to zone out and free my mind of the issues of the day, but that stopped when you arrived. No matter how much I hungered to zone out, I always listened, enjoyed, and learned from your sermons. You had the right amount of humor, knowledge, and eloquence that could satisfy even the most critical UUs. In 2015, VUU celebrated the 50th anniversary of its founding. You know the story. We grew from a pizza parlor in Tempe to River Road, to our building on Warner Road, and finally to our Del Rio campus, and at the moment, Zoom. As a result of your guidance and leadership, the legacy you leave for our next 50 years will lead to greater things. A bigger campus, a prouder message, and a broader mission. That's true, even though we've been stalled temporarily by a microscopic contagion. But never fear, the fire of commitment has been lit, and it shall not be dimmed. So long and farewell. We will miss you greatly.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you, Nancy. Andy, Sarah Millspaw wanted to be with us, Sarah from UUA, but she had a conflict tonight, so she sent a statement, and I'm going to read it to you. As VUU's primary contact on UUA regional staff, I just want to say how grateful I am for Andy's faithful service, not only to Valley UU, but to Unitarian Universalism as a whole. His service on the UUA board was a gift to our faith, for which I thank him and you. I have so appreciated his wise and loving leadership of your congregation from afar, and wish Andy, his family, and VUU all the best as you head in different directions. Blessings on your journeys. And I also have a little message from Sandy Whitley, who is out of town in the woods. Everybody knows Sandy, and so it's appropriate that she's tree hugging right now. She wants you to know, she says, Andy, I'm so sorry you are leaving us here at VUU, but know in my heart your next steps will benefit so many people who need your sound compassion and love. So I want to turn it over to Deanne at this point to invite a few more comments.
Thank you, Janice. So Andy, we split up the stories just a little bit. Those were some testaments to the legacy that you leave us, and we have a few others coming up. Some people who want to share some personal stories and some thank yous with you tonight. But before they do, I just want to say a couple things. You know me well enough to know this is hard for me to do. And especially since I just lost my notes, it's even harder. So I've shared a few thoughts with you and a couple of goodbyes, and we have one or two more because we didn't get to do our final meeting tonight. But this last one time, I want you to know just how grateful I am to you for having known you and having worked with you for these 8 years. And especially how happy I am for you that you have found and grabbed onto the thing that's going to challenge you, that's going to fill you up even more. It's going to take what you have and what you are for others to the next level. Something that will enrich the lives of so many more people as we have been enriched by you. They say that the price of great love is great sorrow, and we have that today. But it is well worth the loss to have experienced 8 years of loving you and being loved by you and holding you and being held by you. And I want you to know that I plan to continue holding you and loving you for years to come, wherever it is that life takes you. And I'm going to turn you over now to Jim and Linda Horton, who would like to say something to you.
Am I unmuted?
You are good. Go.
Andy, 9 years ago, I had the honor of being the chair of the search committee. After a year of intense work, we were about to meet our first candidate on Skype. We had a comfortable interview with you. Your answers to our questions fit nicely with the image of the minister we were looking for. When it was your turn, you had a 3-ring binder with your notes and your interview questions at the ready. It was clear to us that we were interviewing someone who did his homework, a characteristic we would notice in the next 8 years as well. We invited you to Arizona for a weekend with the search committee, ending with a sermon preached at a local VUU church, UU church. The woman who at VUU we would have called the worship associate, who was supposed to be introducing you and helping you with the details associated with a one-time experience in a new church, had just experienced a big personal loss During the service, we could see you supporting her in her grief. It was a spontaneous example of your compassion and empathy, something that we would see often in the next 8 years. We invited you and your family to come to Arizona for candidating week. You arrived a day early so you could walk with us in the Gay Pride parade, a fact that endeared you to Linda and me since our daughter is lesbian. On April 22nd, 2012, you delivered your first of 2 outstanding sermons. Candidating week is an intense experience for everyone involved. On April 29th, you delivered another outstanding sermon. That sermon was followed by a congregational vote to call you to be our minister. Were you nervous as we were? Heather, were you nervous? The vote was unanimous. Unanimous, something unheard of in this UU congregation. Andy, you have been both a teacher and a student here at VUU. Your contributions have been many, and we are a better congregation because of the time we've had together. As I've often told you, your sermons are the best of the best. You have set the bar high. So it is with much love and sadness that I join the congregation in wishing you and your family all the best as you travel this new road less traveled, where I know you will make a difference. You will be missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I'm going to turn this over to Perry Skolnick now. You can unmute.
Yep. I can't see Andy on the screen, so it's hard to be speaking to him. But Andy, you know what I'm going to speak about. This is a very personal story. I lost my husband almost 2 years ago, and it was a terrible, terrible time. Here I go. I'm planning for it though. Yes, we had 2 weeks when my husband's cell was in the hospital, lingering between life and death. We didn't know what was going to happen. We were waiting for all kinds of results, and it was terrible. Every single day, we didn't know what was going to come of him and come of us. And Andy came to the hospital and sat in the courtyard with me and my daughter, Miranda, and he was such a consoling, beautiful energy for us. And somebody else mentioned his listening. He listened to us. He was so comforting. He was so compassionate, and it gave us such strength. It was just wonderful. It was so moving. I did not expect it. The hospital was down in Phoenix, it wasn't a local place. And when he was there, there was just this beautiful, loving energy that supported us. And this is the kind of pastoral care that I hope he's going to be sharing with all of the people he works with in his new path, with you in your path. I can't see you, but I'm speaking to you. I know you're going to be a wonderful, wonderful teacher, and I'm lucky that I've had that experience with you. And I love you, and I will never, never forget that wonderful support. And I wish you the best of everything.
Thank you, Perry. Love you back.
Thank you, Perry. So just a little bit out of order, I'm going to introduce Libby Bean. She is a member of our board and wants to say a few words. Go ahead, Libby.
I just wanted to say, Andy, that even though I've only known you and VUU for a couple of years, you all have made a huge difference in my life. Andy, you were a big reason why I decided to join the church, and I can't thank you enough for all the help you've given me in the last couple of weeks with the talks we've had. And I just wanted to say again, you'll be dearly missed. And I hope that our paths can cross again in the future. Love you.
Thank you, Libby. And next I want to introduce Noelle Hyman. Noelle, are you there?
I'm here. Hi, Andy. So Izzy and I joined the congregation 2 years ago. We had been not going to any kind of church for 15 years, and we just felt we were ready for a community and maybe like an intellectually stimulating sermon a week or something like that is what we were thinking. And you were gone for the summer when we started coming, but we kept hearing person after person, oh, wait till Andy's back. You're gonna love Andy's sermons. Wait till Andy's back. And it's all we heard until Andy, you came back. And we did love your sermons. They're just spectacular. We love your sense of humor, and often your very spontaneous sense of humor when something silly happens and you know where to take it. Always to the funniest places, it seems. One of the things that I began to see over time, well, first I want to say I really appreciated how down to earth you are. And just, I think you make all of us feel so comfortable. But over time, what wasn't so obvious to me was until I began to, since I was in the congregation longer, was how you really live the things that we all strive to do and be and live. And so many times I find out that you went on this social justice effort and you did this other thing, and it was never anything that you were out shouting about. It just was something you quietly did, and then I'd hear about it, and I've just always been so impressed by that. So all the time that you give is just, it's really inspiring and such a fantastic example. So I just want to say thank you so much for everything that you've given us in the 2 years that we've been coming.
Thank you, Noelle. The last speaker that we have for this part is Janice Miller.
Andy, how are you doing? You look like you're holding up pretty well.
I'm good. Be nice.
You can tell what kind of a president of the board I was when Andy starts with "be nice."
You could say the same thing to me.
We had a fabulous time. So, you know, all of us are having a feeling of deja vu right now. 3 years and 4 months ago, we thought we were going to have to give you up as our minister after we had spent 5 years getting attached to you. And at the time, we were mad and sad, but we were also very proud of you and very happy for you. And that's how we're feeling now, with a little COVID panic thrown in. So we're very emotionally challenged as a group, as we were then. And at that time, through no fault of your own, the UUA role became untenable. We were very heartsick for you, but we were thrilled that we had the chance to keep you with us. And at the time, we polled the congregation to see if we could rescind your resignation. And every single person said yes, emphatically. So Jim talked about your unanimous support, and 5 years later, it was still right there, solid as could be. And I remember at the time, one of our congregation members said, "There is a God," when you agreed to come back. And that's a really big statement for a UU to make. So, and then one member said, as we tried to put our arms back around you, the member said, "We need to offer Andy radical hospitality, deep compassion and loving kindness, and a place of healing as an expression of our faith, our community covenant, and our love and respect for him." And I hope that you feel we've done that. So Andy, at that time, you offered and we didn't ask you to, you offered to stay with us for 3 more years. You have made good on that promise, and we really appreciate that. Now, it's not too late to change your mind. We could do it again. We'll pull everybody. But seriously, Andy, it's really been absolutely transformational to have you as our minister. You have made us proud of our development as a congregation, and we have together made an impact on the larger community. We wish you and your family many blessings on your journey. We love you.
Thank you, Janice. So that is the end of our prepared speeches. Izzy, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, because my computer is, okay, thank you. So we're getting close to the end, and a couple other things I want to say. One is, I am so sorry that we had a party for you that at least 200 people wanted to join and we could not accommodate them. It was a huge failing and I really apologize. The good news is this entire thing has been recorded. We will be saving a chat log, and we will add that chat log to the recording so that you can have this farewell with you whenever you feel like you need to know what you mean to the world. You can always turn on this hour's worth of love for Andy Burnette. So I can't imagine the people who were locked out of this meeting and how mad they are right now. I'm so sorry. One of the last things I wanted to tell you is that we talked about a gift for you, and you know that I have been on a minimalism journey, and I have a real problem buying things for people. And I have an especial problem buying things for people who are going to get into a tiny little car that barely fits their banjo and their clothing. And so we have taken up a special collection because we do not know what Reverend Dr. Andy Burnette needs in his next iteration. And so could you reach under your desk and see if there's anything taped under there real quick?
Stop it.
Is there something there?
Yeah, should I open it now?
Could you just open it and look at it? And we all know what it is. We all contributed to it. We all talked about it. We all have a pretty good idea what it is. And I will tell you that what it is, what you see, it is actually, in the last hour, it is more than that. We just want you to be able to go into your new world with a little bit of cash and love to spend on the next part of your life. And thank you, Heather, for helping us to do that for you. So the last part, or the next part of our party is to, well, I'm just going to turn it back to Janice. Janice, you're up.
Thank you, Deanne. So Andy, we would like to hear what's on your mind. If you can like swallow hard and then figure out what to share. We've been waiting to hear from you.
Well, I said Sunday that You knew I was going to cry. That I should have been throwing you all a parade. I told Heather that because I believe a congregation makes a good minister. And, you know, you all are just an incredible congregation. And when you find the next person to come in and really listen to who you are, and I'll say that it took me a couple of years to figure out that I needed to listen more than I talked. But when I did, holy cow, it was like I couldn't come up with an idea that you all couldn't do. And any committee that I needed to staff, there was an expert on that subject in the congregation. I mean, this is an incredible group of people. And the love that you all have for one another, first of all, is inspiring. And then the way you carry that love out into the community in so many ways, whether it's social justice work or, you know, there's so many teachers in this congregation. You're a people who are sort of in love with life and in love with the world. And that makes ministry more possible. It doesn't make it easy, but it makes it a lot more possible for a successful shared ministry. I have, you know, I told Heather too that I have zero interest in serving a different congregation. I don't think that there's a better congregation in the UUA, but my heart calls me on to be a part of the formation of other clergy. And there's a window in the timing for my family that, although I apologize that it's in the middle of COVID-19, was sort of an opening that was possible for us. And so I leave with great sadness too, and with a feeling that I have just been honored and privileged to have served with you all. And I cannot wait to see what happens next for Valley UU.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Andy. And so that is the conclusion of our prepared time together. So we're going to do two things. Some of you who are BUU congregants know at the end of Sunday service, we unmute everybody. Oh, Andy, you just took a drink, and I wanted to say that it was Heather's job to make sure you had that available.
And I do appreciate
it. She was amazing in helping us figure this all out. So we are going to click the unmute button and let everybody talk as a huge group, and it's going to be crazy, and we're going to do that for just a few minutes, and then we will mute everybody for another moment or two to say goodbye. But I want you to know that not only is this whole thing recorded, but we're going to save all of the chat history. So anybody who has not chatted your love for Andy yet, which I think is everybody, or spoken, please feel free to do so now. And Libby, can you go ahead and unmute everyone? And so she will make it possible for you to unmute, which you can do.
Bye.
Bye, we love you.
Bye.
Andy,
I miss you so much.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you.
I miss you, Andy.
Good luck. Miss you so much.
Bye, Andy.
I love that picture.
Bye, Andy.
We're gonna miss you so much.
Good luck.
Love
We love you.
Safe trip.
Yes, it goes to who talks. You want to
Have
go
fun
on speak?
driving that little car.
This is a good time for gallery view.
Yes, it is. That unbelievably little car. Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Bigger on the inside.
The Fiat.
Yes. That is adorable.
Yeah, who's talking about
I want to see him get into it.
With Kevin and Sarah.
Cheers, Andy.
Look at David. Hey.
Jody.
Wishes across the time and space here.
Andy, we're very proud of you. We're very proud of you.
I'm glad you're going to be closer to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, only 5 hours instead of 24.
Thanks
From there on, we don't see faces, we just see. Yeah, they're there, but they're not pictures. Connected. Well, they're connected, but they're not.
Andy, you're not going to be able to tell us how cool it is in Indiana.
I know.
Yeah. It's beautiful here right now. It's only 70
Tell us
degrees
about
here
the
now.
snow. We'll tell you sunshine when you do snow.
Yeah, talk to me in January. We'll see how I feel.
We'll be shoveling sunshine.
Thank you, Andy.
Oh, it's an honor, Brian.
You're the best, Andy. You're just the best.
Thank you. Oh,
You're the best.
Have you, Rebecca, just the banjo?
Take your
Don't
banjo.
let anybody tease you about the Fiat. I think it's adorable.
I love it.
I do
yeah.
I feel like Mario Andretti zipping around.
Right. Once you get up to speed.
Now we're unmuted.
Don't get carried away driving like you are, because that's a small car, Andy.
Yeah.
Good luck, Andy. That's a motorcycle with doors, you know.
Does he still have his motorcycle?
Actually,
No.
Rich, I think the motorcycle.
And good luck, Andy. That's a motorcycle with doors.
Oh,
that. Oh, he used to have stairs with a motorcycle.
A motorcycle with a door?
About years ago, but I don't know anything about it.
Hey, Andy, how's your Italian?
My Italian's terrible. I know.
Have a great road trip, Andy, and really enjoy driving across the country.
Yeah.
Safe. Drive safely.
Thank you.
Drive safely.
Yeah, Andy, drive from the back seat. You'll have more leg room.
Good idea. Good idea.
I had a dream like
Well,
that.
they may have been on and left to
Come over and help me
make
book
room
that
for
front
other
seat.
people. Maybe.
Okay, everybody. You are all muted again, and we are going to just do one final send-off.
A lot of people are very muted.
Oh, everybody.
Everybody's muted now.
Love you all.
Sorry, this
Love
is the time to show
Missed you.
love to Andy.
You do a heart. You can do a heart. Yeah. You gotta do it in front of the camera. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
There.
Good job.
Be careful. We love you.
Take it more.
Oh, that's
Take my little finger. Yeah. Yeah. There we go.
Good job.
Thank you, everybody. Say your final goodbyes.
Bye.
Wow.
Love you, Andy.
Bye.
Always coming out visiting you all.
Safe journey.
Take care.
Safe travels.
Stay well.
Gosh.
Watch out for the bugs on the road. They're bigger than you.
Will it take only just a certain number of people?